So, recently a lot of the games I've been playing are more serious or a dark tone. Stuff like Elden Ring, Metal Gear Revengeance, Resident Evil VR chat for ERP lobbies. So I decided I wanted to play something a little more upbeat. Some may even use the buzzword fun. So I dug through my backlog to see if I could find something that hit the spot. I decided I felt like playing a 3D platformer. Maybe Spyro, maybe Banjo-Kazooie. Wait, why not play the 3D platformer? The genre-defining Bubsy 3D. But I couldn't find a working copy, so I settled on Ape Escape 3. So, after beating the monkey game, I decided I wanted to talk a bit about it and how I felt about different aspects of it.
Monkey.
Alright, getting right into it. The story. For what little bit of story there was, I enjoyed it. It's your typical love story about a man and his monkey that run a bunch of TV stations, and they're trying to take over the world. And you, the player, take on the role of one of two characters to ruin everything for the aforementioned man and monkey. Now speaking of the characters, let's have a quick look at them. You have your choice between a grade school Japanese pop idol, or Sonic the Hedgehog. Then there's the protagonist Ant, who for some reason thinks it's okay for these children to be using military-grade equipment and capturing monkeys. And for the main antagonist, you have Carrot Top and his monkey named Spectre. Let's start with a quick rundown on the game's controls. Initially they were a tad awkward to get used to. Left stick moves your character, right stick swings your currently equipped weapon in any given direction, so no camera control with the right stick. Instead, your camera control is bound to L1, which centers the camera behind your character. You'll end up mashing this more than I mash my d. R1 is your jump and double jump button, and each of the face buttons can have equipment assigned to them. There's also pressing R1 and R2 simultaneously to use your morphs. While the layout feels weird to use at first, you end up getting used to it, though it definitely feels dated. Let's talk about said tools that get assigned to you. You've got your standard fare of toy lightsabers, RC cars, slingshots, and nets to destroy enemies or stun and capture monkeys. Then there's stuff like the hula hoop that lets you sprint, or the sky flyer that lets you skyfly. The most important tool of all, though, the monkey radar, which helps you locate where the monkeys are on the map, as well as showing you their Tinder profiles. Most of these I found pretty fun to use, and there's enough variety for the combat to stay entertaining the whole game. Then there's the morphs. All jokes aside, using the morphs were some of the most fun that I had in the game. Each of them doing slightly different things, but the most notable for me were like the Cowboy, giving you a range damage option, or the Chun-Li cosplay, which specialized in a more combo-oriented damage and letting you open certain switches. Then the Ninja, which is obviously the best morph in the game, which lets you run on certain walls and summon clones that help you do damage. Then there's also stuff like the Power Ranger or Magical Girl, if you're into that kind of thing. And lastly, there's the vehicles, the car and the Gundam that wears a diaper. The sports car isn't too bad to control, mostly used for a couple racing sections of the games where you have to catch some monkeys. But the robot had probably the most ill-designed control scheme in video game history, and is the definition of unfun. Moving on to the levels, their themes, and their music, I found that every stage has a pretty unique theme, usually based around a movie, show, or book. The most memorable for me being Wild West, which is akin to an old Clint Eastwood movie, or Emperor's Castle, which is a lot like feudal Japan. There's a bunch more, stuff like your typical winter level, horror themed level, and a space theme level, and so on. The music is all great, usually upbeat with loads of weird sounding synth, all of which fits their corresponding stages' themes. Stuff like high energy action movie music for Kung Fu Alley, creepier sounding music for Boo Town, and jungle-like themes for Ever Summer Island. Some of my favorite songs were Western Village 2, Emperor's Castle 2, and Wintersville, along with the best songs in the game, Ever Summer Island 1 and 2. Now to the enemies of the game. Starting with the random enemies thrown about the stages, most of them are little robots dressed as movie or TV crew. Not much to say about them, they're never really an issue. Then there's the monkeys themselves. These little guys have slightly varying attitudes depending on their clothing color and stats, which all adds to how difficult some of them are to catch. Most of the monkeys' outfits tend to follow the theme of the stages that they're from as well. You've got stuff like Jason from Friday the 13th, Gandalf, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dark Vader from Star Trek, and whatever the hell this thing is. There's also a bunch more. And lastly, there's the bosses. Most of the bosses were pushovers with minor gimmicks, but the fights themselves were pretty goofy and entertaining. You have a cowboy monkey riding a motored unicycle, a sumo monkey, a monkey riding a robo-dragon that has a foot fetish, and then there's stuff like Monkey Red. Monkey Red is an exercise in what more video game bosses should aspire to be. And as for the extras to do in the game, there's a few random things to collect, like music, books, and movies about the monkeys you've caught. Then there's the minigames. I didn't mess with the minigames too much besides one. Metal Gear Solid. A Metal Gear Solid game that is arguably a better representation of the Metal Gear franchise than Metal Gear Solid 5. So in closing, I found the game to be really fun, and I enjoyed my time with it. The music, art style, stages, and the monkeys with their goofy outfits were all great. I only had a couple really small annoyances with controls, such as double jump not working sometimes, and the vehicles being odd to control. But overall, nothing that made me want to stop playing. It makes me really excited for Ape Escape 4 to get announced any day now. If you happen to make it this far, thank you for taking your time to check out the video. I'd appreciate it if you liked, commented, and subscribed. Also, please consider checking out my Twitch where I stream most nights. Links in the description below. Mwah!